Isn't that amazing? I'm sure most of you have seen it, but I just can't stop watching it. It amazes me. The wisdom, the knowledge, the perseverance that it took to make that happen. My friends, with a tip of the hat to Perseverance, the Mars rover, this week's message is about perseverance, paving the way to possibility. To persist in the pursuit of truth, Charles Fillmore tells us, is the definition of perseverance. Discovery, advancing into the unknown, opening to the new and unseen possibilities, that's the end game of NASA's Perseverance Mars rover. And it really is the end game of the practice of perseverance in our own lives. To pave the way for human exploration is the mission of the Mars rover. Through perseverance, we make connection with the higher realms of consciousness, Charles Fillmore reminds us. Now there's some real human exploration. Perseverance is more than powering through. It is an invitation to being present to. Present to the possibilities. Can't you just see that staff meeting, probably was a Zoom meeting, where somebody says, okay, settle down, let's get the meeting going. And somebody says, so yeah, I've got this idea. So we'll fly to Mars, we'll drop off a remote control car, we'll scoop up some of Mars's, rocks and dust, and we'll take pictures, and this little rover will send it back to us. Any thoughts on that? Or how about the first conversation about putting a person on the moon? How about that one? I would say that that was probably a pretty good example of being present to possibilities. And it wasn't like it just happened instantaneously. Perseverance certainly must have been at the top of the to-do list on projects of that size. We just witnessed, sitting right there in the comfort of your home, the touchdown on Mars. Mars, folks. Now tell me world peace isn't possible. No, that's a subject for another day. But perseverance and action and the consciousness of only about 10.9 million people made that little project, the Mars rover, happen. Yes, that is the number of people that had a hand in the success of that project. Perseverance and action. 10.9 million people. Now that's some pretty serious perseverance. And to even make it more amazing, all 10.9 million of those people's names were engraved on 3 tiny little chips that were attached to the rover. How's that for perseverance? I sure would hate to do a misspelling, wouldn't you? So whether it is a successful landing on Mars, or it is the story of overcoming some very tough odds, like the story of Easter, pursuing, as Charles Fillmore reminded us, higher realms of consciousness. When we blend that with perseverance, we are sure to move to greater possibilities. Perseverance, as Merriam-Webster tells us, is persisting in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. Now, I don't know about you, but life throws me a lot of stuff like that periodically. Where you just have to persist in doing something despite how difficult it is, or despite the delay in recognizing or being able to see success. The difficult or delayed gratification, or the absence of recognition. Things not turning out the way that I planned them. waiting for the Sunday message to drop in. You know, life gives us a lot of opportunity to practice perseverance every day. And it certainly has given us a lot to practice in the last year, year and a half. Sometimes instead of paving the way, it kind of feels more like I'm jumping barricades and dodging bulldozers. How about you? When we're down, and I would say down and out, but in the case of isolation, it's down and in. You know, when we're weary, when we're tired. Now, I don't know what's been going on the last couple of weeks, but normally the messages and the topics of the message drop in a little sooner than the week of. So I don't know what's going on, but that's been my experience, is that the messages are dropping in the week of. So I breathe, right? I breathe. And I also have some amazing people, brilliance I surround myself with, as I say, that are very forgiving and supportive of that. But so the last couple of weeks, that's been my experience. So this week, I reached out to a couple of friends. Now, I don't have 10.9 million people supporting me like our little rover did, but as cool and as wise and as always there for me as those people are in my life, who needs 10 million? And in a couple of very short text messages, the theme of perseverance started showing up. People are a little tired. You know, we talked about how when we had a shift at the beginning of the year and things looked like they were going a different direction as far as politically, as far as the virus, as far as how things are being handled, whatever all of that is in our lives. And so there was a little honeymoon period, and we talked about that a couple times. But now there's this, we're still in it. I hear people say that. We're still in it. You know, ongoing political unrest, accusations. What is truth? Can we get there from here? There is enough doing and undoing to spin your head. And over 500,000 deaths in this country alone. Still in a pandemic. Perseverance might just be exactly what the doctor ordered. To persist in the pursuit of truth, even when it's difficult or success is delayed. Some days takes a little more perseverance than others. I know it does for me. But when you're discouraged, when you don't know that you can see the way out, I offered these few little things to consider. You know, Einstein, the pioneer of the theory of general relativity, Albert Einstein could not speak fluently until he was the age of 9. Little Al was tossed out of school after school, but all of that was forgotten when he won that Nobel Peace Prize in 1921. Do you know that there were at least 50 failed missions prior to the successful landing of Mars, of our little Percy this week? And after a divorce and 23 years of separation from my youngest stepson, I will see him next week. You know, we all have those things, don't we? Those things in our life that by all appearances, they just don't look so promising. But through perseverance and the pursuit of truth, looking for that higher realm of our consciousness, we truly can find that possibility happens. Possibility happens. Healing happens. through the act of persevering. Now, perseverance does not mean that you never rest. Perseverance doesn't mean that you drop all boundaries with yourself and everyone else. And it certainly does not contradict the concept of let go and let God. Because staying present to the God essence, the Christ consciousness, the all divine intelligence, whatever that name is, that is expressing as us, the let God part doesn't nix perseverance. It shows an understanding of what part of our consciousness should be driving. What perseverance does do is it makes a statement. It makes a statement to the universe and to our own consciousness that we recognize the infinite nature of the universe. Now let me say that again. Our perseverance is a shout out to the universe that we recognize its infinite nature and the infinite capacity of our own consciousness. You know, the long haul that requires perseverance doesn't seem so tough and so long when I remember that I am an expression of the infinite. I am an expression of the infinite. You are an expression of the infinite. And when I remember that, this idea of persisting in doing something despite of difficulty or delay in success, that just becomes less daunting, less discouraging. It actually brings me more into the present moment because on the infinite timeline, this is but a blip, whatever this is that I'm experiencing. Not that it is not important, but it is a blip on the infinite timeline of the infinite being that I am. You know, I'm more present because all the noise of the crazy making begins to fade away. It makes me filled with possibility. You know, it makes staying the course and exploring my spiritual beliefs and digging in and finding out what really is important. It makes disagreeing but not dissolving possible. Diligently practicing good science, continuing to love and know, all of it becomes worth doing, even if success is delayed. When we stay in pursuit of the truth, our own consciousness creates the support that we need to persevere. Staying in pursuit of the truth of our infinite nature, the truth of our oneness with each other and all things. And in that pursuit, we are reminded that we are not alone. You know, 10.9 million people supporting that little rover. There was an inscription on the side of the Perseverance Mars rover. And this is what it said. This is what it said. Are we alone? We came here to look for signs of life and to collect samples of Mars for study on Earth. To those who follow, we wish a safe journey and the joy of discovery. And all around that little message that started out with, are we alone, is the phrase joy of discovery in multiple languages. There is a slide at the end of this presentation that shows 5 different significant elements that were added to the rover as an artistic and as philosophical elements. Check it out at the end of this, at the end. They call it festooning. That's actually that's actually an official NASA term. And festooning started with many of our rovers that have been sent out. Are we alone? It sure can feel that way sometimes, especially now. It can seem a bit much to ask ourselves to be more perseverant, I guess. But then you get the answer to that text message that you sent out to those friends, that you said, I just got nothing this week. I really don't know where this is going. And it's answered with love. It creates a safe landing pad, if you will, for a successful mission. And I hope this is successful. Or how about observing people who take the time to care for someone's animals while they're in the hospital healing, while another provides that person transportation when they finally get to come home, and others prepare food so that it'll make the return home easier. You know, that's what we do. This is the expression of our higher consciousness. And these are examples of what we do in this ministry here at Unity of Flagstaff. You know, this empowers each of us to practice perseverance because it paves the way. It reminds us as we observe these good deeds, these higher expressions of consciousness, it reminds us that we're not alone. This is what we do. This is who we are. As we pursue and express the truth of who we are. We know that we are ever supported and that we are co-creating our greatest potential and that we are paving the way and possibilities will absolutely manifest when we do that. Eric Butterworth, in his book Spiritual Economics, says this: the whole of God's substance in its entirety is at every point in space at the same time. Every point in space at the same time. That knowing, coupled with perseverance, is the realm of higher consciousness and infinite possibility. In this season of reflection, at this time of Lent, this time on our planet, where we're being asked to be perseverant, to persevere, we can remember that God's substance in its entirety is all around us, ever supporting us. I thank Ryan Biter for reminding us with his upcoming song, Bridge Over Troubled Water, that we are not alone, that we stand with each other as we persist in the pursuit of truth, as we practice supporting each other in our perseverance, and together with our infinite nature, we co-create and open to new and unseen possibilities. Perseverance, you got this. God is you expressing, you got this. Thank you, my friends. And now enjoy the music of Ryan Biter.